Hello!
Hello AOS fans!
It's the Agents of Embergard.
And in this video we're telling you all about the Jaws of Itzl.
Three big lizdy men, lizdy people, and a little base of lizdy things.
Seraphon, as they're called these days.
Seraphon, yes.
And they're Venomites, Sotex Venomites.
They are the first of two warbands to come out for the new Embergard.
And we will be doing a video for the other one, so do check that out. They are, as you might expect from a warband with three big ugly fighters, an out-and-out strike warband. They do have a little bit of covering support with the Sotex Venomites, and they add a little bit of creature comfort to the warband. And I do wonder whether that GW are going to be leaning towards more critters. Everybody loved the critters. I mean, Doing Claw almost won Best Miniature of the Year award.
Despite the fact coming out the same year as like Primarchs and God knows what else, but yeah.
So I do wonder, and that's 3 out of the 4 warbands have got some sort of small fighter. And I guess they've got a bit more, they can do it more easily now. They've got the zero glory aspect because you couldn't have tiny creatures that were easily killable when they cost glory because it was like a farm. So a little aside there, I do wonder whether we might see more of these things. And it enables you to give a bit of flavour, and it enables them to do it, the modelers to do a bit of fun stuff. I'm slightly disappointed because personally I don't think the animal models are all that good necessarily, but this Sotex Venomite model is quite nice.
So they're 3 big burly 5-wound fighters and a little 1-wound base at the back there.
Yeah, all the 3-wound fighters start on 1 shield. So they're fairly fragile, but the little 1-wound fighter does start on 2 dodge.
And as it's zero bounty, there's very little point in actually trying to kill it.
Yeah, I feel like that. You can move it about using the abilities to give it supports though, so it could be useful, and there might be reasons for getting rid of it. Only one of the fighters, the boss, Crojax, is the only one who inspires to 2 shields.
So how do they inspire, Robin?
They inspire in a slightly unusual way, and I'm not quite sure how easy it's going to be to inspire them. After inflicting damage on an enemy fighter in your opponent's power step or action step, pick a friendly fighter and inspire that fighter.
So they don't all inspire at the same time. You just have to inflict damage, and then you pick somebody and inspire them.
Yes, but it's inflict damage in your opponent's. So it's kind of like, well, how am I going to do that?
Yeah, you're going to be looking at power cards or maybe some of the abilities on their wall scroll.
Yes, so their main sort of attribute, their kind of warband flavour, if you like, down the left-hand side of the little deeper grey box, is predatory fighters. And you can use this immediately after an enemy fighter's failed attack if the target was a friendly Saurus, so not with the Venomites, and the save roll contained any shields. So I basically roll 1 dice, get a shield, not a crit, just a shield. If you do that, you can inflict 1 damage on that enemy fighter, which of course will immediately inspire you.
But it does rely on an opponent's failed attack and you rolling shield. So your opponent has to roll just like either just completely miss or just get 1 success, and then you need to roll that shield. I mean, obviously there'll be other cards coming out to give you extra defense dice and things like that, but you've still got to rely on them failing and rolling that shield. So that's not great odds.
It does feel a little bit tricky. I mean, it is quite nice that it is an opportunity to inflict damage on an enemy fighter, and there's no range. So as you said, if you're using my Armies and you're being shot at from 5 hexes away, you still do the 1 damage back. But it feels a little bit underpowered. And one thing I don't like about it, and this will come up again a bit later, it's a kind of like more if you get what you want type situation. So if you roll the shield and the opponent misses the attack, so that's good for you because they've missed the attack, you then also get to inspire the fighter. Similarly, when you might want to inspire is when you've just been smashed in the face and you've lost 3 wounds, if it's the Doom Wheel or something, and it's like, great, I've failed the attack, and now I'm not inspired either, so I'm even more likely to die. And I don't really like that, and I have to say, I feel like the designers have moved away from that kind of mechanic. I can't think in the recent game era where that kind of thing happens. I'm a little bit unhappy about that.
So of their warband abilities, do they have any that are going to help them inspire?
Well, they do have the middle one, which is Savage Mauling. So you can use this in a power step. I'm guessing you pick your opponent's power step, and you pick an enemy or fighter adjacent to a damaged friendly Saurus. So again, only the big lads that has no charge token. So
it's going to be trickier.
Yeah, it's kind of round 2 thing maybe.
Yeah.
So you roll an attack dice for each damage token that the friendly fighter has, and then if you get swords or crits, you can inflict 1 damage. For each sword or crit, you can inflict 1 damage. So you could, in theory, if you lost 3 wounds and you managed to roll 3 swords or crits, you could actually do 3 damage.
That's pretty nasty.
That is pretty nasty. I mean, obviously, in theory, you could even go up to 4.
Yeah.
And you can only use this ability once per game. Each time an enemy fighter is slain by this ability, you can use this ability once more this game. And again, that's a similar thing. I didn't roll any swords or crits, or I haven't taken the fighter out of action. I didn't get what I wanted. and now I've lost that ability forever.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, if you had a really jammy roll, killed something, you get to do it again, which is a bit of a bad taste in the mouth for your opponent. So there is a card, I think, in the main box, which is a defense card, which gives you +1 defense until you've successfully made a defense roll, which is how I think this should work. Basically, until you've succeeded with it, you get to keep using it. And then once you have succeeded with it, you don't anymore.
So is there anything for the little Venomites?
There absolutely is. There's instinctual control, and this can actually be used effectively once per turn. You can use this immediately after you pick a target as part of an attack action made by a friendly Saurus. You pick a friendly minion with no move or charge tokens, and that fighter can move. And obviously, after they've moved, they get a move token.
Yeah.
So you can't do it again.
Yeah, but there are things in there that enable you to remove move counters and stuff, so maybe it could be used in that situation.
Yeah, and we've seen that type of mechanic before. It basically means you can move the minions up to do a little bit of supporting, which, as we've seen in our games we've played so far, support's actually weigh quite a lot in this game, or should I say flanked rather than support. And there's one final power, which is Obstinate. And you can use this in a power step. You pick a friendly Saurus, that fighter cannot be driven back until the end of the battle round. You can only use this ability once per game.
Okay.
So that's not bad.
Pretty much run Crojax up right in the middle and then put that on him. Like, you can come and attack me, but I'm going to be punching you back in the face regardless.
Yeah, we'll maybe try and get him onto an objective.
Yeah.
So looking at the stats, all fighters move 3. As we said at the beginning, they all start on 1 shield. They've all got 5 wounds. The only difference in glory is that Crojax is 3 and Rotak and Sokar are 2 each. And the Venomites are 0.
Attacks-wise, Crojax has got quite a hefty attack. He's got 2 hammers, 3 damage. There aren't many 3 damage attacks running around, so that's quite nasty. And Rotak with his spear has 2 different ranged attacks. One is 2 hammers, 2 damage at range 1, and one is 2 hammers, 1 damage at range 2, which they're doing a lot with the spear-wielding fights. They're giving them that lower damage, slightly longer attacks, give them a little bit of flexibility.
Which almost never seems worth doing it. But sometimes it's clutch. Sokar rolls slightly more dice, but he's only got a range 1 attack, so he's looking for 3 swords. Well, it's not great, but you have got the option for supports, which the extra sword, the extra dice is useful for that.
When they inspire Crojax, he goes up to 2 shields, as already mentioned, and his attack goes to 4 swords, 3 damage, so it gets more accurate, because obviously going from 2 hammers to 3 swords, it's a drop in accuracy, but 4 swords is definitely a jump up.
Rotak goes up to 4 swords and 2 damage as well.
He also loses one of his attack profiles, basically, because it's just as good to use that as it would have been to use the other.
It's range 2, Finally, Sokar, he also goes up to 4 swords. He's 2 damage, but if you do get a crit on one of those 4 swords, he gets a bit of Grievous.
So he's pretty much as good as Crojax.
He is. And he even gains an extra movement.
Yeah. Oh yes. And 4 swords is nothing to be sniffed at.
So finally, we've got Sotek's Venomites. So I don't know how useful they're going to be. Obviously, you're going to get supports in. As you said already, there isn't really any mileage in killing them, except that it does prevent them from getting to supports. And obviously, when they're rolling 4 dice, supports is going to be quite useful. They've got a range. They've got a movement of 3. They start on 2 dodge. And they have 1 wound, so they are quite easy to kill.
Movement 3 is not great either.
No.
I would have thought they'd be 4 stars, but yeah, it is what it is.
So.
And their attack is 2 swords and 1 damage. Pretty basic little attack there.
I really can't see you going to attack these. In fact, these might end up being a pain for you because you might have charged with the 3 big lads, and then now I've got to do a 2-sword attack. When they inspire, they obviously get a little bit better. They don't get any improvement in their profile, but the weapon attack does get a little bit better.
He goes up 3 swords, stays at 1 damage, but they get stagger, so that might be handy to tee somebody up before one of the big lads goes in to bite the head off. But I feel like you're going to inspire them last.
I think you will. I can't really see you prioritising them.
Overall, this warband seems like a pretty thick set of chunky boys.
Which is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, I suppose its closest mirror is perhaps Morgoth's.
Yeah, that's true.
This feels very Morgoth-y. I can't remember exactly the profiles of them, but I don't think many of the Morgoths go to 4 swords.
No.
I think there might just be a few extra damage in the Morgoths and more grievous options. But they do feel really solid. And of course, Morgoths haven't got the 4th wheel, as it were, to give them the support. So it'd be interesting to see how the 2 compare. It'll be a bloody battle.
It'll be interesting to see if the Sotek's Venomites become more of a liability, because they're going to stop you getting charged out with your 3 fighters. So you might want to run them forwards and put them in a position where your opponent is forced to waste an activation killing them, just so you can free the other 3 up to then do stuff. Obviously, if you can use your instinctual control early to get that assist in, that'd be handy, but after that, it's like you just want them deaded out of the way, really.
It does feel a bit like that, unless, I mean, you've got a bit of range too, if you've got some push tech maybe. There are some cards coming into the game which enable things you can move charge tokens, so you could maybe move a charge token onto the Venomites and then charge with something else, but that's all a bit situational. So yeah, they could be in the last round a bit of a liability, although you probably would just charge with them and then free up your big guy. So when picking a deck, I feel like you want to pick as many ping cards as possible, but there actually aren't that many so far.
Except for with the new Rack and Ruin deck that's coming out, which I counted has about 6 cards in that can ping damage.
Okay, I didn't realise it had that many.
Yeah, there's quite a few in there. There's some that are upgrades to end phase stuff. We'll talk about that in a different video.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of options then to try and get these guys inspired.
Yeah, in the core box, there's only about 3 or 4 that can actually reliably ping, and then some of them are like on a dice roll. So
yeah.
Look at a bit of luck. Yeah, so I think you will want to try and front load with as many ping as possible. Obviously, they're going to work well with the strike deck. Anything that gives you a bit of extra manoeuvrability, any extra pluses you can give to your save, any healing, all going to be useful for these guys.
And overall, they're built to do one thing, and that's bite people's heads off.
So that is the Jaws of Itzl.
They'll be coming out soon, in a couple of weeks. Make sure you get your pre-order in and let us know in the comments below what you're looking forward to most about them.
And if you'd like to see the rest of our content, don't forget to click that like button.
And click that subscribe button.
And ring that bell so you get notifications of all the lovely new content we've got coming your way.
So we'll see you soon, maybe in the Embergard.